I may. don't think it's. I don't think it's gonna work well because so like caveat. All right, these beans were these beans are designed for espresso, and they were ground for espresso. I'm not sure how well they're gonna carry over. That is Saints Row. They're all Saints. Doing Americano then. Yeah, but you still need you still need the espresso machine. It's not, you know what I mean? Because you're not the water's not going through the ground. The ground's the way it's supposed to. Lightful. But the water's not going through the grounds the way it's supposed to for espresso beans. And these grounds are very fine. That coffee paste marmite. But I mean, it's essentially like tasty. This is your container. This is supposed to be really nice coffee. The beans were grown in volcanic soil. Yes, and it's funny. You get this top or big, and it's hard to because I don't want to take any of it out because it is very fine. Let me see dry. Oh well, but the it's very finely ground. You know what I mean? And when you have that fine of ground coffee, it's just not designed for a pot. Um, which is where we run into issues with because if you love the smell of coffee, right? Because when I show like the flavor notes, it talks about a blend of bourbon and geisha beans. Offers notes of caramel, chocolate, and jasmine. The medium dense body, a well balanced acidity, and an exceptionally smooth finish. Those flavor notes make me feel like we are going to be dealing with a medium at best darkness, and the coffee I have is very, very light, which tells me that people aren't, or not people, which tells me that it did not spend enough time in the coffee to really pull the flavor. I feel like it's going to really it's really going to mute the taste. I feel like it's not going to be that good. So there is a caveat here. Um, it smells like really watered down coffee too. So I'm not exactly expecting a lot from this. Um, I would be interested to see if I could maybe get a better. I don't even think my French press would help because French press you're typically supposed to make them coarser beans. But I'm just thinking that if the beans stay in the water longer, we might be able to get a better cup. But we're still doing it. I just want to put the asterisks out there that these beans have been grounded for espresso, not for But you need one of those Turkish coffee. I don't even know what that is. Carafes? But no, it's just the beans are designed for espresso, and I do not have the capability of making it. Just because I don't feel RFA. But with further ado, yep, we'll see how it goes. Try this one. Yeah, I really need to get because even with that, even with it being really watered down, hmm. See, my problem, Robo, is just that I won't ever use it. If I'm making coffee, I'm just gonna make a drip pot. It's simpler. Uh, the wood pressing. Yeah, no, for sure. Yes, it just needs pressed. It's not spending enough time in the coffee. Um, just because I'm gonna have to. This for being what it is, it's still not bad. Um, I I'm not getting a lot of the flavor notes out of it. If I pull really hard, I can get a little bit of caramel. Like if but it's a re. I think we might. So I'm probably not going to end up giving this a rating because it's not prepped like it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? I might play around with this a little bit more. We might and you know we might play with it a little bit more later on throughout the week. Um, but it definitely needs more time in the coffee. Um, it's considering considering that it's being made improperly still, I will say it is better than I expected it to be. I was expecting it to really like just feel like, do you remember the white tornado we did? So white tornado was white coffee. It was very under roasted beans. I was supposed to the way it was roasted was in order to maximize caffeine. But from my personal experience, when they maximized caffeine, they lost a lot of the flavor. Like the beans were almost still green. Like it was just enough. It was just cooked just enough to get them to cook just enough to get them to not be green. Essentially, just get as much moisture out as it can. And I was expecting something like that. Um, this still has a decent aftertaste, not aftertaste, but like the bold coffee aftertaste. And this is gonna be the last. Got a minute 30. No, I don't have a hat timer. Um, but it's still, even with it being massively watered down and not enough time in the coffee, it's still pretty decent. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes of it. I definitely might put it in my French press just to see if I can get it to sit longer and if that will pull out more of the flavor. I'm not sure if my filter is going to be happy with me, um, because that French press filter, I don't know if it's fine enough to be keep the grounds out when they're that fine. I'm also probably gonna be tinkering around with it to get my ratio better too, because I know every time that I've made water or made coffee on the French press, I don't think I've put enough coffee in. I will say The caramel does come through. Um, especially as it cools down. This is definitely one of those, the cooler it goes, or the cooler it gets, the better it goes. Um, which is a really good sign of your higher end coffees. Typically, they say the easiest way to tell a good coffee is how it tastes when it's cold. If you have a coffee that you can drink cold, it's it's pretty damn good, and that's kind of what you go through with the cold brews and stuff. Um, so I'm going to say we're not going to rate this yet, but we might try again tomorrow or Friday, depending on live tomorrow. And we're gonna play around with it a little bit more because I really do get the caramel, and I can kind of maybe get some chocolate, and even with how light the coffee is and how weak it is, you still get a decent finish. So I can only imagine what this would be like as an espresso. And I wish I could try it, but alas, here we are. Just overnight an espresso machine. Now I'm curious. Thinking just get like a cheap ass espresso machine. Oh Jesus! Yeah, that's yeah, I knew they were like. I mean, but those are like good high end ones. That's like $100. It's not, but I ain't getting it. Jesus, I've never looked up espresso machine, express delivery. That's fine. Yeah, I've never looked up espresso machine, so I have no idea what I'm looking for. You know. Yes, we are going. We're gonna hold off on that. We will. Dude, they've got some badass espresso machines. So we're gonna hold off on this, and then I might look into getting one. It's $100. That's not. But we'll see. Just because I really want to experience this coffee. Because if it tastes like this, if it tastes like this when it's not prepared properly, I can only. Are we still talking about espresso machine? But so yes, to be continued. I don't know when we'll get to it, but what coffees on the roast rate queue? I've got one more. I've got one more from Grace, um, and then I have one from Seraph, and then I've got your Guinness call. Yeah, I can only. Uh, well, that was your roast rate. Sorry, it's underwhelming. To be continued. But I definitely need different preparation method. But this is your roast rate for the evening. Appreciate you all waiting and being patient and kind and talking about AC and this insane heat. Um, but this is take two of the Queen of Versailles espresso ground coffee. Get a mini splitter. It's like air conditioning in our hotel room. But this is a limited reserve number 8,112 out of 15,000 made. And this is your cup. This is what you get. This is what you get. But Grace has provided these beans for us to try. And when we tried to do them the first time, it did not turn out well in the drip pot. So I had bought an espresso machine strictly for this, and it was probably the best purchase I've ever made coffee wise. I was telling people when I've been drinking coffee for a very long time. Um, and it's been a hot minute since I've gotten any kind of, feeling from coffee. And I pulled a bit more, but that looks tasty. I am excited for it. I am excited for it. Um, I was going to leave it under there a little bit longer, but for the majority part, it had ran its course or whatever. And I'm still trying to get the intricacies of the machine. Still trying to get my tamp right and the correct amount and everything. So it's still a learning process, but I have been making one about every day and just throwing it in with my cup of coffee. Just because, at least for like regular beans, it just gives enough of a kick to it gives just that extra kick that I can actually feel something from the caffeine again, which is either surprising or concerning. I'm not sure which. But again, that is so thank you, Grace. This one's for you. And the first one that I did, I just like, because obviously you're supposed to not take the whole thing at once. And so I was like sipping on it just a little bit because I was using it just before work, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I had to leave. So I probably did like half an ounce all at once, and I was like, okay, that's strong and stuff. Get to work, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So this is what we're dealing with. Okay, all right. So, but thank you, Grace, for your continued support and everything you do for me, and I'll support your show. You mean a lot to me, girl. And the fact that you were willing to send me this coffee means the world to me, hun. And I appreciate everything you do for me. So here's to you. Cheers, honey. So, wow, that is just the straight espresso is still very strong. Um, did you put brown sugar in the puck? No. This is just the straight beans, Ronald. Why don't you offer some to Sven? That's not Sven, that's Norm. Come on, Grace. But so definitely much better as an espresso than it is as the drip pot. You are definitely looking. This is Norm. No, I don't believe that's accurate. They are two separate pins, Grace. But I will say I'm surprised how much the jasmine comes through. I will give it the chocolatey notes and maybe some of the caramel. But it almost has like a salty taste to it too. It's really like I said, a lot better than it was through the drip pot. Just the coffee, the water just didn't stay in the beans long enough for the coffee to do anything in the water. You know what I mean? Which is just when you have grounds that fine, you're bound to have that happen. Um, I will. It's yeah. The fact that there's like a saltiness to it is very interesting. I will say I was not expecting it to cool down that fast. Um, which also makes me worried that my water didn't heat up. But I'm also not sure. I'd have to look. No, because it's still warm. I was not paying attention to it when it was pouring. But And it is a glass container. Glass containers typically do you lose your thermodynamics and whatnot. Usually do lose heat a lot faster through the glass than anything else. And with the low volume, it would make sense that it would cool down quickly. Um, but um, hmm. It's quite delightful. Um, without having very much um without having very much experience with roast rates, or not roast rates, but espresso rates, it's going to be hard to say one way or the other. But to just drink it, oh yeah, oh yeah, I can imagine. It is straight coffee. You're just struggling there, aren't you, Pops? And Grace can't spell either. But it's hmm, it's hard to compare. Um, I would definitely put this Hue, HYU or HUE, yes. But it would definitely be nice as a filler. Like I couldn't ever imagine drinking espresso just plain. You know what I mean? I feel like it could give you a nice jasmine chocolatey feel into a cup of coffee. Um, every time that I have made the espresso outside of the first one, I have been adding it to a cup of coffee. And I feel like that's probably how I'm going to continue to do so. You can see adding this to like maybe a lighter roast that has an earthy undertone to it, to maybe kind of small. Oh, that sounds like a banger of a thing, Beardy. And it'll also be interesting to see how when or as I make more and use the machine more, how much that varies. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm sure having an even tamp makes a big difference. Um, get an idea of where the fill line is for it, for the beans as well, makes a big difference. I mean, because then you have a consistent flavor that you're pulling the the machine. You know what I mean? You're not overfilling, you're not underfilling, stuff like that. That's cool, Beardy. But I'm definitely looking forward to using the machine some more. It's something that I didn't leave any mess on my counter. It's actually very easy. It came with a scoop for it. The other side of the scoop has the tamper on it. It's actually really easy to use, and it was really cheap too, which surprises me that it makes a decent cup at all. Um, but yeah, all in all, it has been fantastic to have, fantastic to use. Um, has Mother even ever had espresso? I don't know if she could handle it. Her coffee game's gone hasn't been keeping up here recently. Oh, I'm very sure there is. I mean, I know reality. There's a deep rabbit hole you can dive down with most every um with most every kind of coffee, whether it be, a French, I want to say dip all the time, but the French press, like, just trying to well, so ever since she's had her gastric bypass, she's hasn't. I mean, you've got to be careful. No French press, but because French press, I still haven't mastered that at all. But I'm also not. I'm not crazy about it either. Just that whole preparation method is kind of to me, you know what I mean? I could probably maybe see it as a good cold brew concentrate, but in the machine that I have, you can make cold brews with it too, which is cool. So I'm not entirely sure of what to do. It's definitely a lot better as the espresso than it is as a drip pot, which naturally would make sense since they are espresso beans and they're ground for the espresso. But honestly, Grace, I'm just gonna go with we'll go with I'd say send me the French press, but I think it's too much work. Yeah, no, it's just for the amount of coffee you get out of it, I just don't feel like it's worth it. Then it's sitting in a glass pan for. So they suggest that you use specific blends, pops. That's what I have been doing is just grinding it longer. That way it becomes more fine. But there are specific, yeah, 5 out of 10 until we get more data points for sure. Um, like I said, I'm really looking forward to even potentially like when we do roast rates, make the drip pot and then just for funsies make espresso out of it. I mean, if I've got the machine, we might as well use it, right? So I don't think you. I feel like that would be a lot more work for inconsistent results, especially the way grinders are nowadays. Like, I mean, you can have grinders that you can. It's an unknown. That's funny. But no, I absolutely love that I've got an ability to actually feel some pep from coffee again. Like I said at the beginning, it's been a long time since I've had any of that. So the fact that I can get that again uh is no, the unknowns from the second generation Beardy. The one that made the vocabulary letters. Were the so they're grounds. That's why we couldn't. You haven't given me the ground box yet. It depends on who you. It depends, Beard. Depends. But we're raising the bar instead of dialing back. I mean, aren't we always right? And back. It was ground. So we redid the Versa the espresso beans and we made espresso out of them. So it was very very good compared to the drip pot, but that wasn't a very high bar to clear. It was a little salty. You had the chocolatey tastes, and the jasmine really pushed through. I just don't feel like I can rate it against drip pots because it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? So I'm debating on making espressos out of future roast rates that aren't flavor infused because I'm not putting a flavor infused bean in that machine. They say don't. So if we ever have natural beans, we might make espressos out of them as well. But that is your roast rate, Grace. I'm gonna preemptively give it a 7 because I do not have any data. It was delightful. It tastes good. The saltiness was weird. Um, I do clean out the glass before and after every roast rate just to make sure there aren't anything in it. So I know it's not outside contamination. You got one more in your back pocket eventually. I'm really looking forward to so this it'll be interesting for next week. Uh the saltiness is what you live for. But that's the bucket. Oh, I never thought about that. Because these were grown in volcanic ash, which is a richer soil. No, I do not use bleach to clean it out, Father. Just soap and water. But Yeah, no, it was fantastic. How's the double beans? Great, Pixie. Oh, we made an espresso today. But that is your roast rate. We are going to give it a preemptive asterisk again, 7 out of 10. It was very nice, a lot better than the drip putt, and um, and actually gets some work. Um, but let's get back to the game, shall we?